ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So in the last session, we completed the Dvadasha Manjarika, or the 12 verses written by Adi Shankaracharya in the work we are studying, which is called as Mohamudgaraha, or the hammer that actually hammers away all our delusions. That's why it is called as Mohamudgaraha, popularly known as Bhajagovindam. And what did Shankaracharya Bhagavan do in those particular 12 verses? He brought out every field of our delusion, starting from artha, kama, ahankara, mamakara, the shortness of life. All these aspects he brought out and showed us one by one that what you're holding on to in the form of acquiring material pleasures or material objects for your happiness in the form of artha, kama, purushartha, it is absolutely a useless pursuit. And therefore, understand that this is a life of delusion. You are living a life of delusion by going after the artha, kama, purusharthas. And if you really want to save yourself from coming again and again into this samsara, and if you really feel that this artha, kama, purusharthas are a bondage, then you have another option. And that option is nothing but choosing moksha as the purushartha. Moksha purushartha is what Adi Shankaracharya in Bhajagovindam is stressing. And for that, in very brief 2 verses, Bhagwan Shankaracharya described the entire journey, the spiritual journey of a mumukshu. Starting from going to a guru, satsangatve nisangatvam, that particular verse, he said, approach a guru, and by approaching the guru and asking for this knowledge, the guru will guide you to develop the yogyata, the practices necessary, the sadhanas necessary for getting the jnana yogyata prapti. And then once you are ready for this knowledge, the guru will give you the scriptural knowledge, which is called as the atmajnana. And ultimately, only that is going to free you from this particular samsara, which is brought upon by yourself. You yourself are bringing about this particular samsara by going after anitya, ephemeral, temporary sadhanas. In the sense, sadhana sadhya, if we take, that means and ends, if we take, you are going after means which are absolutely not going to give you any kind of a permanent peace, security, and happiness. They are only going to take you from life to life, from situation to situation, and nothing more than that. And ultimately, there is an escape, there is a freedom, a release from this samsara, and it is only by jnanam. And this jnanam he calls as Govindam, Bhajagovindam, Govinda, or all Ishvara, Atma. So choose that as Moksha Purushartha. Moksha Purushartha choice is the first step in the spiritual journey of a mumukshu. If I'm not even making a choice of moksha, where is the question of starting the journey? If I'm a mumukshu, I start my journey, my spiritual journey with moksha purushartha. And Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya says, Bhaja Govindam. That is, choose moksha, choose God, choose Ishvara, choose Atma, Brahman as your purushartha. With this, we completed the 12 verses written originally by Adi Shankaracharya. And as I said, with these 12 verses, many of Acharya Shankara's disciples were actually wanting to express what they feel about what was already written by their guru, and the future verses are the verses which are the expressions of many of his disciples. We know the names of some of the disciples who have given these particular verses, and each verse is given by one of the Shishyas of Shankaracharya, and ultimately all the verses are going to talk about the same thing that Bhagwan Shankaracharya talked about in the 12 verses of Dvadasha Manjarika or Mohamudkara. And yesterday we saw that the first verse, that is, what we are seeing here, the first verse is the 13th, yes, the 13th verse, which we saw last time. If we take from the first verse onwards, 13th verse onwards to the 30th verse is going to be what Adi Shankaracharya's disciples are expressing out of gratitude for what they have received in the form of teaching from their Acharya. And we saw in the 13th verse yesterday, we saw that Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta Vatulakim Tavanasti Niyanta Trijagati Sajjana Sangati Reka Bhavati Bhavarnavatarane Nauka. This is talked about by this verse is written by Padmapada, one of the main Shishyas of Adi Shankaracharya. He is known for having written this Padmapadiyam. He has written this particular work called as Padmapadiyam, a very, very beautiful work written by Padmapadacharya. And he says, Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta. What are these sense objects? Kanta normally means the partner or the wife, but Kanta stands for all the sense objects. What are all these sense objects ultimately? Dhanagata Chinta. What is this wealth ultimately? Your entire life you are going after material objects, sense objects, and money. Vatula kim tava nasti niyanta. Hey Vatula, hey Mudha, this is a Sambodhana. Vatula means hey Mudha, hey deluded intellect, Kim Tava Nasti Niyanta, is there nothing which is restraining you? Is there no sense or no kind of a knowledge which is restraining you? Entire life you are spending going after sense objects and also wealth, and there is only one way which can really make you come back and choose another path, something which will help you to go beyond this ocean of samsara. What is that? Trijagati Sajjana Sangati Eka. Sangati Eka. There is only one thing, that is going, surrendering to Sajjana Sangati. It means going to a guru and asking for this knowledge. Always moving about in the company of jnanis or wise people. That is the only way you can come back. You can retreat your steps from Arthakama Purushartha and go into something else. You can go into this Moksha Purushartha. That's what you can go into. Therefore, Sajjana Sangatihi, may you move about in the company of wise people. May you approach and surrender to a guru to get this knowledge. Now, the next verse is written by Totakacharya. This verse number 14 is written by Totakacharya. And the next three verses, written by different acharyas, talk about what is the importance of internal transformation for getting this knowledge and getting free from samsara? What is required is internal transformation. Many people may think that taking sannyasa or donning the ochre robes, giving up all karma, One can become a sannyasi and escape from this samsara, but that is not possible. External renunciation is only incidental. External renunciation, unless you are prepared for it, it is not going to help you. It is the internal transformation, it is the inner sannyasa, the inner renunciation that is going to really help you, is what is going to be told in the next two or three verses. The next verse, 14th verse, is Totakacharya's verse on what is needed as internal transformation. When he has seen, probably he has seen many people taking on to external sannyasa, but internally they are still running after material objects. So, what does he say in the 14th verse? Jatilo mundi lunchita keshaha काषायाम्बर बहुकृतवेषः पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढः उदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः. So we find all kinds of people who have renounced. They renounce the world. They just want to escape from their duties and escape from their nitya naimitika karmas. So what are those type of people? He says there are people who are having donning various veshas. One of them, some of them could be jatilaha. Some of them may grow long locks of hair which have formed a jata. Mundi. Some person would have completely shaved off his head. Lunchita keshaha. Some people may just, try to pick and remove hair by hair as one of the forms of tapas. They try to pull their hair and remove every hair, and that is a form of tapas for some people. Kashayambara bahukrita veshaha. Many of them may don kashaya vastras. Kashaya vastra is really taken as an indication of a sannyasi. That's it. But many people misuse this particular indication. They don on kashaya vastra by themselves. They try to think that by donning the kashaya vastra that they are going to get some advantage or the other, and people are going to look at them and probably give them dakshina, and it has become a form of a begging person. It has taken the form of these people begging for alms in the name of sannyasa. So what does he say here? Jatilo mundi lunchita keshaha kashayambara bahukrita veshaha. The vesha may change, the hairstyle may change. One may grow hair, one may shave the head, one may pull out hair by hair as tapas, one may don the kashaya vastras, bahukrita veshaha, pashyannapi chana pashyati moodhaha. Such a person does not see what is supposed to be seen. There is no difference in whatever life he was leading earlier and whatever life he is leading now. There is no difference. There is only an external transformation. There is no inner or internal transformation. Pashyannapi cha na pashyati mudaha udara nimittam bahukrita veshaha. Many times it is for the sake of survival. A person does not want to do what he is supposed to do, but then he wants to escape from karma. He wants to escape from his situation, and most of the time, udara nimittam bahukrita veshaha. It is meant for the sake of survival. A person may take these kind of veshas, but ultimately the external vesha and the external transformation is not important. It is understanding the futility of arthakama purusharthas, and whatever you are externally, it doesn't matter. It is the internal change that is necessary. This is what Totakacharya says. Next, Hastamalaka is the next Shishya who's coming out with the 15th verse. Hastamalaka. Hastamalakiyam, he has written Hastamalaka. It seems this Atmajnanam was so clear to him, to Hastamalaka. It was something like looking at a gooseberry which is there on his, his palm. Supposing you keep a gooseberry on your palm, how clearly it is seen. That clearly it seems Hastamalaka could understand about what his Swarupam he is. his Atma Swarupam he could understand, like as though he is looking at a gooseberry in his palm. That's why he's called Hastamalaka. And what does he say? Here again, he talks about an internal transformation. What he says is a person may age. Aging does not mean that he is transformed. Aging does not mean he has got out of the desires of Arthakama. It only means that his body, mind, sense complex may not be capable of fulfilling those desires. But even at an advanced stage, a person may be in his mind fantasizing about various kamas and artha kamas he may be thinking. Therefore, even age does not transform a person. The transformation is internal. So, what does he say here, Hastamalaka? He says, अङ्गं गलितं पलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डं वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चति आशापिण्डम्. So he says here, Angam Galitam. Galitam Angam means the limbs have become loose. All the limbs are literally loose. The skin is hanging. The joints have become worn out. The bones have become worn out. Limbs are loose. They are not functioning as they should. Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam. The hair is already grey, or most of the hair is lost. Dashana Vihinam Jatam Tundam. Tundam means the face is without the teeth. Dashana Vihinam Jatam Tundam. The beautiful teeth which once this person was showing off are no longer there. His face is Dashana Vihinam. Vriddho Yati Grahitva Dandam. This Vriddha, this old man, this old person is not even capable of walking straight. He needs something to support himself and walk. Vriddho yati. An old person is coming. Grihitva dandam. Dandam grihitva yati vriddha. Tadapi na munchati asha pindam. Though his body is incapable of enjoying Arthakama, in the mind, the desire for Arthakama has in no way gone away. The desire for Arthakama is continuously there, even at advanced age. So, what he's trying to say is externally, I may take I may become old. That is a Vesha. No, I may become old by body and I may lose my hair, teeth, everything, but still I have got that desire to enjoy the objects of the world. Material objects I want to enjoy. Vriddho yati grihitva dandam tadapi na munchati asha pindam. So, what is the meaning of this? Even aging itself, we cannot say that a person is mature. Aging does not mature a person. Maturity is something which happens by inner transformation, neither by aging nor by donning any other dress and making oneself look different from what he is. Next verse is written by a Shishya called as Subodha. Now you may ask me how do you know the names of all these Shishyas? This is what I was taught. My teachers told me, my teachers taught me that this is the person who has written this. And since it is a parampara praptam jnanam, therefore, when I share it with you, I give it the way it has come to me from my gurus. So the next one is written by Subodha. So here this Subodha criticizes a mithyachari sannyasi who has only external changes, surface changes. No inner changes have taken place at all. This is what is going to be told in the next verse by this person called as Subodha. What does he say? Agre vahnihi prishte bhanuhu ratrau chubuka samarpita januhu karatala bhikshastarutala vasaha tadapi na munchati ashapashah. In the previous verse, we saw tadapi na munchati ashapindah. Here, Subodha says tadapi na munchati ashapashah. So, what does he say here? There are some sannyasis probably who have donned the ochre, come out of the home, and those who are, going around in the forest here and there, wandering sannyasis. In the cold season, when it is very cold, what do? Agre vahnihi. They light fire in front of them. Early morning cold, they light fire in front of them. Prishte bhanuhu. Behind their backs, the sun is rising, which is warming them up. So they are sitting outside in the open. They are calling themselves sannyasis. They have a fire in front of them to warm them from the front. They have bhanu or sunlight, which is coming out, sun which is rising and which is warming their backs. Prishte bhanuhu ratrau. In the night, when it is cold, what do? Ratrau chubuka samarpita januhu. They're keeping their legs folded and their chin is touching their knees to protect yourself from cold. We do that, isn't it? When we find that it is very cold, what do? We sit down and we bend our legs and we try to bring them close to our chest and to our body and probably rest our chins on the knees. So in the night, what do? These people, sannyasis, ratrav chubuka samarpita januhu. Chubuka means what? This chin is resting on the knees of the folded legs to protect oneself from cold. And who are these people? Karatala bhikshaha tarutala vasaha. They are wandering. They are dependent upon somebody to give them bhiksha for their food, for their survival. They are dependent on bhiksha from grahastas. They are wandering into different villages here and there. They are dependent on the bhiksha, on the alms given by people who are the grahastas. Is given by the for people of different people who are at home. They give them to the sannyasis when they go asking for bhiksha. They give them bhiksha. Karatala bhiksha. Where do they take the bhiksha? Some of them may not even have a vessel. They may take the bhiksha in their hands. Tarutala vasaha. Tarutala vasaha. They are just living under a tree in the forest. They may be living under a tree. That may be there. Tadapina munchati asha pashaha. Even then, even such externally transformed people who have taken up to a lifestyle of wandering monks, even such people may have unfulfilled desires manifesting off and on. Tadapina munchati asha pashaha. The pasha or the bondage of asha or desire for things. It is so much there, from many, many years that it is a gradual process. Just because you change your appearance, internally you are not going to get transformed. That's what all these acharyas, shishas want to say, that this transformation that we have, that we are looking for, is an internal transformation and it takes time. It is not going to happen in, you know, in a jiffy. It is not going to happen suddenly. Just because I walk away from home, just because I wear a different dress, I wear different clothes, it does not mean that the transformation of losing interest in Artha Kama Purusharthas has taken place. It has to go gradually. All the vasanas for Artha Kama, all the vasanas for objects of the world, all the vasanas for enjoyment of the objects of the world, material sukha, laukika sukha, it is not something that is going to go by mere giving up of the home, giving up of the duties, or wearing or changing, transforming your external appearance. And it is going to take some time. That is going to take some time. Next, he says, next, Sureshwaracharya comes. Sureshwaracharya is one of another very important Shishyas of Bhagwan Shankaracharya, and he is called Vartikakara because he has written commentaries on the commentaries written by his Guru Adi Shankaracharya, which are called as Vartikas. And so Sureshwaracharya is called as a Vartikakara, and also he has written some independent texts also, like Naishkarmya Siddhi, etc. He has written. Now, he comes up and says that the teaching of the Vedanta is that what you are looking for is permanent security, peace, and happiness. And what you are getting now in the world by following Arthakama Purusharthas is only a fleeting, temporary sense of security, peace, and happiness. But it is possible to have this permanent security, peace, and happiness only when one attains moksha. And what is moksha? Atma Jnanam is moksha. And for Atma Jnanam, one has to be well prepared. One has to be very well prepared for this Atma Jnana. Without the preparation, Atma Jnana is not possible. So that is what here he wants to say. Sureshwaracharya wants to say that there are certain preparations. There are certain preparations which are there, which are necessary to make a person a Jnana Yogya. Jnana Yogyata Prapti is very important before one goes to Vedanta or to this Atmajnana. So, Jnana Yogyata Prapti to develop, there are certain things, there are certain, sadhanas which are necessary for Jnana Yogyata Prapti. And what are they? He's talking about the preparations for Jnana Yogyata. And what does he say? कुरुते गङ्गासागरगमनं व्रतपरिपालनमथवा दानं ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन भजति न मुक्तिं जन्मशतेन. So what does he say here? What does Sureshwaracharya say? You may do Ganga Snanam. It is good. There is nothing wrong in that. Go for a pilgrimage. There is nothing wrong. Prepare your mind, have Chitta Shuddhi, have, Deha Shuddhi by this Ganga Snanam, Ganga Sagara Gamanam. That doesn't matter. Go for a pilgrimage. Have a Ganga Snanam. It is good. Nothing wrong with it. And then he says, Vrata Paripalanam Athava Danam. May you follow any type of a tapas you want. That is also meant for Chitta Shuddhi. Danam, that is also meant for Chitta Shuddhi. That is why we saw in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna says, Yajnaha Danaha Tapaha. Yajnaha Danaha Tapaha Kartavyani. One should not give up yajna, dana, and tapas. Yajna means what? Worship. Dana means what? Sharing whatever you have. Tapaha means disciplining your body, mind, sense complex. This should not be given up. Tapas, yajna, and dana should not be given up. So, visit a particular place of pilgrimage. Kurute Ganga Snanam. That's okay. Sagara Gamanam. Ganga Sagara Gamanam. Vrata Paripalanam Athava Danam. May you follow any of, the vratas that you feel are necessary to give you some kind of or any kind of discipline. They give you some kind of a self-discipline. May you follow. May you follow any of these tapas which give you ultimately the tapas of, a self discipline, which gives you discipline of the body, mind, sense complex. There is no problem. But remember one thing, all these are only preparations for Jnana Yogyata. These are all only preparations for Jnana Yogyata. Jnana Vihinaha Sarvamatena Bhajati na Muktim Janmashatena. So what he says, hundreds of lives, you may do all these things, nothing wrong. You will get Chitta Shuddhi, you will get Chitta Naishchalyam, you will get a preparedness for this Jnanam. But unless you go for this Atma Jnanam, There is no mukti janmashatena. Bhajatina muktim janmashatena. Unless you go to the Jnana Yoga, unless you go to a guru and get this knowledge, there is no question of mukti or freedom from samsara, janma shatena, hundreds of lives. Do all these things. Dhanam is necessary, yajnam is necessary, tapaha is necessary, no doubt about it. But these are only preparatory sadhanas. They will only prepare you for this jnanam. If you don't go to jnanam, then there is no point. How long will you keep on preparing your mind? So, all these come under Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. Karma Yoga is actually incomplete without Jnana Yoga. You stay at Karma Yoga, don't go to Jnana Yoga at all. Your journey is incomplete. And Jnana Yoga is not possible without the proper preparation of the mind. So, what does Sureshwaracharya say? Preparation of the mind is necessary for Jnana Yoga, which tells you that that permanent peace, security, and happiness which you are looking for is nowhere else but within you. But to understand this knowledge, you have to prepare your mind, and the only way to prepare your mind is by yagna, dana, tapas. So, pilgrimage to Ganga Sagaram, vrata paripalanam, discipline, tapaha, danam, sharing, all these things, yajna, dana, tapas, but jnana vihinaha, sarvamatena, bhajatina muktim, janmashatena. The teaching of Vedanta is jnana, jnanena, without jnanam, there is no muktihi. Jnanattu eva kaivalyam. Therefore, do all these things, but at some time or the other, try to come to jnana yoga. Then we have the next verse. We saw the 17th verse now. Now we'll go to the 18th verse. This is by a shishya called as Nityananda. We don't know much about him. We have not heard of whatever works he has. We don't know. We have not heard. This is a Shishya called as Nityananda. What does he say? He says, Suramandira Tarumula Nivasaha Shayya Bhutalamajinam Vasaha Sarva Parigraha Bhoga Tyagaha Kasya Sukham Na Karoti Viragaha. What Nityananda, the Shishya, wants to say is that as long as you are surrounded by the material objects become a bondage. The more you have, the more you want. The more you have, the more you have to protect them. And therefore, one should come to an understanding that I have to limit my material acquisitions. And it is only Vairagya. Vairagya means what? No unnecessary parigraha, no unnecessary accumulation of material objects. And to think that material objects alone give me happiness, they only give me security and peace, is not correct. Material objects can sometimes be the cause of my concern, they can be the cause of my dukkha also. So he says, a person who is less burdened by less of the material objects, a person who has a healthy vairagya towards the objects of the world, kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. Who will not be happy when they are not burdened with having more and more material things? The more and more material things I want and accumulate, the more and more bondage it becomes. The less and less I have, I am free, much freer than before. And this freedom from this constant hankering for material objects, whom does it not give any happiness? Those who have reduced their possessions will realize possessions and all our transactions, the more and more and more we do them, the more and more they bind us. Let us do what is absolutely necessary and remove all the unnecessary flab of material acquisition and accumulation. And what kind of a freedom and what kind of a sukha it gives? Whom does it not give? This is a question he is asking. So he says, there are these people, authentic paribrajaka sannyasis, Suramandira Tarumula Nivasaha. They have nothing. They have renounced all the material things. Sura Mandira Tarumula Nivasaha. They are either resting in the temple Sura Mandira Tarumula. They are resting or sleeping under the trees or in an abandoned temple or in the corridors of a temple. They are there taking rest whenever they want. Shaya Bhutalam. The earth itself is their bed. They don't possess even a bed. Ajinam Vasaha. They are wearing probably the ajinam means the skins of dead animals to cover themselves. Ajinam Vasaha. Sarva Parigraha Bhogatyagaha. All the accumulation and all the bhoga they would have given up. Such people, still you find many such people who are happy. It doesn't mean that we have to give up everything. If we don't have the preparation of the mind, as told in the last three verses, if we are not prepared, simply giving up everything just because Bhajagovindam says that, that's not going to help. I have to see clearly the futility of excessive owning. Let us have what is needed. Bhagwan has given us the objects of the world for our use. Let us have whatever we need, however much we want. But let us try to limit it so that we are not burdened by our own possessions. We are not burdened by our own material objects which we have taken trouble to actually accumulate. Therefore, he says, Kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. We have seen these kind of paribrajaka sannyasis who have left everything, given up everything, and who are living a mere existence in this open. Such people are also happy, therefore, reducing the burden of material objects. Vairagaha, viragaha, kasya sukham na karoti. Who will not have the lightness that Vairagya can give you? Next one, he says the next person is Anandagiri, is another Shishya of Shankaracharya, Anandagiri. What does he say now? He says, there are two lifestyles, as Krishna told in the Bhagavad Gita. There is a lifestyle of pravritti or karma. There is a lifestyle of nivritti, what we saw in Kathopanishad, preyas and shreyas. There are two lifestyles. I can choose the lifestyle of pravritti or I can choose the lifestyle of nivritti. It doesn't matter whatever it is. I may not be a bhogi, I may be a yogi. I may be a jnani, or I may be a bhogi. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, what is needed here to find this internal security, peace, and happiness? What is needed? A person who is established in his own Atmaswarupa, in Atma, in Brahman, whether he lives the life of a Grahastha, Pravritti Marga, whether he lives the life of a sannyasi in the Nivritti Marga, it does not make any difference. Ultimately, these two are two lifestyles. Pravritti and Nivritti are only two lifestyles. Both of them are looking to ultimately abide in one's Atmaswarupa. That's what Krishna said actually in the third verse, the third chapter. Lokesmin vividha nishta pura prokta mayanaga. There are two alternate things, lifestyles. There is only difference in the lifestyle. There is no difference in the ultimate goal of both the lifestyles. That is what Anandagiri says here. Yogarato va bhogarato va sangarato va sangavihinaha yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva. A jnani may be abiding in his Atma Swarupa and he may be a yogi, Yogarathova. completely detached in a nivritti marga. A mumukshu may be in a nivritti marga. Even ultimately, a jnani may ultimately be in the nivritti marga. Bhogaratova. A jnani may continue to be a grahastha and carry on his duties of grahastha. A mumukshu may try to attain this Atmajnanam being in the ashrama where he is, or he may choose to take sannyasa to the exclusive pursuit of this jnanam. It does not matter. Yogaratova, bhogaratova, sangaratova, sangavihinaha. You may choose to be with your family, or you may wish to leave everything and go away and be by yourself. Sangaratova. I want to keep in touch, have sangha, be with the family, with people. Or somebody may decide, I don't want to be with anybody, I want to be alone by myself. A Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Sangha Vihina. It doesn't matter. They are only different lifestyles. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam. A person who is committed to Brahman as a mumukshu, or a person who is abiding in his Atma Swarupa as a Sthita Prajna, it does not matter what kind of a lifestyle they are leading, whether it's a pravritti life or nivritti lifestyle, it does not matter. What matters is Brahmani Ramate Chittam. I'm committed to knowing this Brahman, committed to Brahman as a Jignasu, Mumukshu, or I'm reveling in my own Atma Swarupa as a Jnani itself. And then what is the situation here? He does not depend on any outside objects for his happiness. Nandati, Nandati, Nandatyeva. He is Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. Atmaratihi. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastaduchyate. He is the person who is a Sthita Prajna, who is abiding in his Atma Swarupa, irrespective of the lifestyle that he is leading, or a Mumukshu who's committed to this, knowing this Brahman. It does not matter whether he lives the life of Pravritti or Nivritti, but his goal is ultimately Brahman, to know this Atma or Brahman. Next, in the next one, some basic spiritual sadhanas which are necessary for Jnana Yogyata Prapti have been described as an extension of what Sureshwaracharya said in the previous verse. We saw that Sureshwaracharya said in the 17th verse, Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam, something similar to that. This is a Shishya known as Dhrida Bhaktaha. This Dhrida Bhaktaha Shishya of Adi Shankaracharya, he says, what are the sadhanas that a person can do to prepare his mind, to prepare himself or herself for this quest of Brahman or this knowing of Brahman, basic spiritual sadhanas. What are they? He talks about three types of sadhanas. He says, Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita Ganga Jalalava Karnika Pita Sakridapiyena Murari Samarcha क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा. Bhagavad Gita Kinchit Adhita. So, what is the meaning of this? One of the basic spiritual sadhanas most important for a mumukshu is what? Scriptural study. What we are doing now. What we are doing for the last 3 years. Where we have studied Bhagavad Gita, we have studied Vivek Chudamani, we have studied Katopanishad, and now we are revising all that we have studied in the form of Advaita Stotras of Adi Shankaracharya. So, scriptural study is one of the most important sadhanas. With the help of a guru, scriptural studies with the help of a guru in satsanga, it is one of the basic sadhanas. It is said, Anantam Shastram, okay, Anantam Shastram Bahuveditavyam. Ananta Shastras are there. So many Upanishads. Veda Purva is voluminous. Vedanta is voluminous. So much of Shastra is there, but then Bahuveditavyam. There is lot to be known, lot to be studied, but there is no Kala is not there. We don't have enough time. So, our scriptures say, our acharyas say, study of Bhagavad Gita is enough. Study of Bhagavad Gita represents the teachings of the entire scriptures. And therefore, Ananta, Shastram, Bahuveditavyam, which am I going to study? What am I going to leave? Where do I start? So much is there to study. Don't worry. Bhagavad Gita, Kinchidaditha. At least Bhagavad Gita to the extent that I need for my understanding. At least that much swadhyaya you do. Scriptural study or what is called as swadhyaya. So scriptural studies in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Kinchidadita, whatever is necessary for me. Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita, pilgrimages to sacred places, which is tapas. We have already seen the tapas in the previous verses. Swadhyaya and tapaha. Pilgrimage, going to pilgrimages, not easy. We have to give up so many comforts. We have to take in so much of difficulties, face so many difficulties. So, going to pilgrimages is considered to be tapas. So, scriptural study and tapas. Sakridapiyena murari samarcha, worshipping God, worshipping Ishvara, Sakridapi, at least once in a day, some small worship to the Lord, chanting something, offering my prayer, doing some kind of a small kind of a worship to the Lord. Sakridapiyena Murari Samarcha. Murari means Lord Vishnu or Ishvara, God, whichever you take, whichever form you worship. Need not be Vishnu, it could be Shiva, it could be Devi, it could be anything, any form of Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara worship. Some Varari Samarcha. Archa means archana or worship. It could be worship of Saguna Ishvara. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. So, a person who spends his life in spite of all his other activities, a person who spends his life at least in little bit of scriptural study, Bhagavad Gita, Kinchidadita, and does some kind of a tapas in the form of visiting sacred places, pilgrimage, and at least once in a day, Sakrit, at least once in a day, thinks of coming close to Ishvara by offering some kind of a worship in his own way, in whatever way, by a prayer, by chanting a prayer, by probably lighting a lamp, by keeping a flower on this one, whatever it is. Think of Lord and worship the Lord. Sakritina Murari Samarcha, Kriyate Tasya Yemena Nacharcha. These sadhanas are ultimately going to take you to Jnana Yogyata Prapti. And when you get this Jnanam, you are going to attain or you are going to abide in your own immortal Atma Swarupam. And there, Yama does not have any role. That means what? You abide in your immortal Atma Swarupa. You don't come and go again and again. There is no question of coming again and again. That is what Dhrida Bhaktaha says. Now, the same thing is carried on by the next disciple called as Nityanatha. In the next verse, the 21st verse, Nityanatha says, what is the common problem faced by all the jivas? Every jiva faces the common problem, but a human being understands that problem. Even an animal goes through that problem, but an animal does not understand that problem. What is this problem? Constant movement from one situation to another situation, from one thing to another thing. Constant movement, constant shift, constant change. When I'm alive, moment to moment, circumstances are changing. Situations are changing. I'm moving from one stage to the other, one stage to the other, ceaselessly, without my effort, without wanting, continuously, constantly, I'm on the move. And when this body dies, the movement does not stop. The jiva continues to move on and gets embodied into another body. So, this constant movement when I'm alive, from one point to another, from one situation to another, and when the body dies, again the jiva going from one situation to the other, from one loka to the other loka, from one body to the other body. This constant movement or change is called as samsara. And all the jivas are afflicted by samsara. This is the common problem of all the jivas. Therefore, he says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha samsare bahudusthare, kripaya pare pahi murare. I surrender to the Lord, to Ishvara. Kripaya pare pahi murare. Hey Murari, hey Ishvara, in my own whichever form I worship, please protect me and help me to cross over this ocean of samsara. This constant movement, constant change. When I'm alive in this body, I'm moving ceaselessly. When I'm not in this body, also, I'm moving ceaselessly from one body to the other. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, being born again and again, dying again and again, coming in various bodies, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, looking for a womb of a mother to manifest myself in another body, always rushing. I'm always in a hurry, always trying to come in some other form, in some other jiva, trying to look for a womb. So, probably we would have had millions of parents in these millions of lives that we have had. We would have been parents to millions of people in all our lives. Do we remember any of them? But the very fact that I'm here today, I have done this samsaranam or samsara, this constant movement has happened all the time. So, what is the common problem between all the jivas? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudusthare. This samsara is very difficult to cross over. Iha samsare bahudusthare. Not possible. In spite of myself, even if I don't want, the force of my karma, the force of my karma phala is making me moment to moment shift and move and move and move, go on and on and on. I'm always running. I'm always running for something or the other, always running behind something or the other. And when the body dies, there is no rest. I'm running behind another womb of another mother to get another body. This difficult kind of a samsara, hey Bhagwan, please help me to cross over. And what is it that ultimately helps me to cross over? Bhajagovindam. Make moksha purushartha nishchaya. Go to moksha. That is why in Vivek Chudamani, when the Shishya asked the Guru about Bandha and asked whether I can really go out of this samsara bondage, is it possible? What did the Guru say? The Guru say, Tava nasti apayaha. There is no apaya for you. Samsara sindhoho tarane asti upaya. He said, there is an upaya. Definitely, there is a way, there is a means of getting out of this samsara. Samsara sindhoho tarane asti upayaha. And what is that upaya? Go to a guru, ask for this knowledge. Prepare yourself by karma yoga, chitta shuddhi, upasana yoga, chitta neschalyam. Make yourself a jnana yogya. Go to a guru. Ask for this knowledge. Go through the jnana yoga in the form of shravanam, mananam and nididhyasanam, and ultimately this Atmajnanam is that which frees you from this ihasamsare bahudusthare. So kripaya pare. Hey Bhagwan, take me across this sagara or this ocean of samsara. And what does Ishvara say? What does the Guru say? Yes, I will take you across, but there is a means of going across this. You can't just have it for asking. You have to make moksha purushartha nishchaya first. Prepare yourself for this knowledge, and then I can give you this knowledge which can free you once and for all from all your samsara. That is the only means. Therefore, if I am actually fed up of this samsara, how much to come and go, how many times to come and go. Every day is a different day. I'm moving from this situation to that situation over which I have no control. Samsara is something where I am moving into a situation which is unpredictable, over which I have no control. And most of the times it is a choiceless situation. Choiceless situation, uncontrollable, unpredictable situation. And I'm tired. Hey Lord, help me to cross this once and for all. And what does Bhagwan say? What does Adi Shankaracharya say? Bhajagovindam. May you first choose your Purushartha. Do you want to be in Arthakama Purushartha? Do you want to continue in material pursuits and keep coming back again and again and again and move from situation to situation while alive? Move from body to body once this body is dead? Or you want a permanent freedom from this samsara? What do you want? Vyavasayatmika buddhim kuru. Hey Arjuna, said Krishna, have this, make this vyavasayatmika buddhi. Means what? Decide what is your purushartha. Do you want prayers and continue in life, or do you want shreyas and get out of this samsara forever? If you are really fed up of this samsara, kripaya pare pahi murare. So, what should I do? Surrender to Bhagwan. Surrender to Bhagwan means what? Surrender to Bhagwan's teaching. That's what Arjuna did. He surrendered to Lord Krishna. And what did Krishna do? He did not give him any kind of a magical power. He gave him this teaching. Kripaya pare pahi murare means surrender to Bhagwan's teaching and once and for all get out of this samsara. So, with this, we'll stop here, and we have another nine verses which will complete in the next session, which are also going to be what are written by or expressed by Bhagwan Shankaracharya's various disciples, some of them known by names, some of them unknown, which will complete the Bhajagovindam text in the next session. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuyat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.